All right, call the meeting to order. This is the March 17th, 2026 Grosio Police Department Commission.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I do have a addition to the agenda and a modification to the schedule. Does anybody else have any before I begin? No. Okay, so first things, we would move the department updates to right below public comment. I'm sorry, right below approval of the minutes. And then I would add as an action item to approve moving forward with a millage. This would be rough millage language. We don't have the specific millage language approved by the.
We just need the approval of the board to move
forward with it.
Yes.
So it would be approval of moving forward with the new millage, and we'll get into specifics on that. Do I hear any other additions or deletions or modifications to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Then, seeing no public comment, moving on, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the February 17th, 2026 regular police commission meeting?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, then that takes us to department updates.
Been that kind of day. Good evening. For the department updates, I'm going to keep it very simple. We're here to do the promotion or the recognition of the promotion of Christopher Smith from sergeant to lieutenant for the police reserves. So if I could have everybody come up here. Chris, if you could stand here. Daniel, you can stand right here. I just want to say that, you know, in my long tenure here, I've known Chris for most of it. He's been with us for that long. He's been a part of the department and one of the dependable reserves. Not that they're not all dependable, but he was the guy that you would call in the middle of the night and say, hey, we have a down power line, or we need you to respond and sit on this property. He was there, and he was doing it, you know, consistently for over the last 15 years that I've known him. And I can't say enough good things about him. I congratulate him on his promotion within the reserves and the added responsibility that comes with it. It's not just a promotion, but responsibility comes with that promotion. So I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Vasquez, who runs the reserve program, and he has a few words that he wants to say. But again, Chris, congratulations. Yep, thank you.
Good evening. Just to add to what Chief had mentioned about Chris's tenure here at Grosio Police Department on the reserve unit, when I started in 2006, Chris Smith had started shortly after as a cadet when we had cadets on the unit. And he rose through the ranks from cadet to reserve officer, taking on more responsibilities as a reserve sergeant. And I will say that Chris has been a sergeant for quite a while, and with the new employment that he's taken on a lot of leadership classes. And I've seen Chris grow in the past couple years. And this couldn't be more fitting than this earned position of lieutenant. When the next liaison takes over, right, he is prepped with a great administration with Captain Price, Lieutenant Smith, and Sergeant Scotty, as well as the rest of the reserve unit. And just to show how far we've come, we've received another applicant today, so we have one that's almost near finishing the application process, and then we have a new applicant who just turned in an application today. And it really was based off of promotion of the unit through our reserve unit. It was Officer Sarah Kelly had some communication with individual, and there was some interest. So the reserve unit's in a great place, and it's only getting better with Chris being in this lieutenant position. Congratulations.
Sir.
And what I'm gonna do is this happened, the promotion was on the 12th, with our reserve meeting, in front of our reserve staff. But today, with the badge, I'm gonna present this to his wife, Danielle, who's a public safety officer as well at the University of Michigan. Rank?
Police officer.
Police officer. So this is rare, but this is not uncommon. But for us, I believe it might be the first. So we're happy to see Danielle pin her husband,
Thank you.
Lieutenant Christopher Smith.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Danielle, you look like you knew what you were doing.
No, absolutely. I haven't put that on 100 times, have I?
Thank you, sir. Mom and Dad, thank you.
You raised a good boy.
Yeah. Again, thank you. There was a couple more things with department updates I just wanted to briefly touch on. Yesterday, the presentation of the millage, not the language, but the state of where we're at. Eric, who can't be here tonight, he's out of town. He did a phenomenal job. Margaret, thank you. There were a lot of meetings that went into that prior to that presentation, drafts, slides, reviews, changes, and I can't thank you enough, Eric enough. There was just a ton of work that went into it, and I thought it presented where we're at financially very well. So that's all I have for department updates. If you had any other questions.
No, I was gonna say, with last night, unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but I watched it on TV, through, I think I was on Facebook, and I don't even think I was logged into the TV channel specifically. But it looked very well. Eric really had his numbers together. You guys did a great job. For those watching at home, it's always a small group, because we have 3 or more commissioners together. It's considered a quorum, so we'd never do that. It was really Eric who took lead on that for the commission, and I appreciate that. He's not here, so I can't thank him directly, but it's always appreciated. And Margaret, your time as well as the command staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated.
All right, so moving on, presentations.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Police Commission, thank you for having me here tonight to talk about the deer call.
Thank you for being here.
So it's been a few years since I've done this presentation, so I've added some things on it. We have some police commissioners, kind of go over a little bit of the history, kind of let you know where we were, what we've done, and where we're going with the program as well. So let me see if I can find where it is here. So brief history on the deer call and kind of what we're doing. First and foremost, when we're doing the deer call, safety is our biggest and our main concern when we're doing the deer call. I stress that to everybody, and that is our biggest point that we want to make, is that safety is top of priority for the deer call. We've been doing a deer call for a long time. Prior to 2019, we used retired law enforcement and volunteers to do the deer call. That was started by Chief Barron, Chief Porcerelli, and Sergeant Mason Hammer. They did a great job on getting everything kind of, the foundation laid for everything, and getting everything kind of going. So they kind of got this whole thing started. In 2019, we did not do a deer call, and then in 2020, our permit from the DNR specifically said that we needed to use current sworn police officers to do the deer call. So at that time in 2020, Chief Warnick asked if I could help him put a program together, which we did. So we started with approximately 4 or 5 guys doing it in 2020. Currently, we have 3 sworn officers and 1 MSP trooper that helps us out, and he does a phenomenal job. And I'll get to those people at the end. Each officer right now is responsible for shooting, dragging, and field dressing, so we do everything. We don't have people standing around waiting for stuff to come in. This is probably one of the most unpredictable things that you could do. We don't know where they're gonna be. Sometimes they're in spots where we always see them, and then sometimes they're just not there for weeks at a time, and there's no rhyme or reason to anything. So we have to spend a lot of time out there. So everybody's kind of responsible for doing everything. We've been following the guidelines set forth by the DNR, which is, where we can go, what we can do, how we can do it. So we follow their guidelines. We typically target the females with the deer call. On occasions, we do have some of the smaller bucks. They're called button bucks that their antlers haven't, developed yet. So on occasion, we take some of those. And also, later in the season as we go, I've been kind of trying to work with the DNR to start this earlier. But as the later the season goes, we end up taking some bucks that are called shed bucks, which have lost their antlers. And sometimes we don't want to take those if we don't have to. So that's what we're targeting. And when we started this in 2020, we figured it would take about 3 to 5 years to kind of get the herd under control. And you'll see exactly why we got there. So in 2020, we were unable to do a flyover and an aerial count just because the weather. We need a lot of snow, and not just the dusting. We need a decent amount of snow, and we need to have a cloudy day, so we just weren't able to line up anything. And at that time, we estimated to be about 400 to 500 plus deer on the island. That year, we were able to harvest 110, and that year we also had 24 car deer crashes. And all the meat that year, all the venison went to City Lights Food Pantry. Ed Kostroff helped us out that year. He did a great job with that, so we thank him. And that year, our deer call cost us about a little over $16,000 to do the deer call. So that was 2020. 2021, this was our big year. So we were able to do an aerial count. Former Police Commissioner Jarecki and I spent about an hour and a half flying in a helicopter, and we did a pretty meticulous count. We were able to estimate about 400, and that was after we took 157. Out of that 400, we took 43 more, and at the beginning of that deer call, we took out 200 deer in the beginning of 2021. We then did a September deer call, and we took out another 75. So in 2021, we ended up taking out 275 deer off the island, which gave us an estimate of around 282 deer left on the island. 27 car deer act crashes. That year we partnered with Michigan Sportsmen Against Hunger, which is a phenomenal organization. I'll get to them a little bit later too in the presentation. We donated close to 10,000 pounds of venison that year. And the processing for that cost over $17,000, which was paid for by Michigan Sportsmen Against Hunger. And again, I'll talk a little bit about them later in the presentation, but they're a great organization to work with. I'm glad we partnered with them, and they help us out a lot. And that year we spent about a little over $36,000 to do the deer call that year. So that was 2021. 2022 was another big year for us. We were able to do another aerial count. Around 300 deer is what we estimated. We took out 172, which left us with approximately 128 deer. Now these are just estimates. There's no exact way we can get exact numbers on this. But this is where we start seeing the payoff. We only had 9 car deer crashes that year. So now we're starting to see the payoff of, how many we took the years prior. We donated close to a little over 4,500 pounds of venison to these local food banks, and these stayed local. South Point Church, Gibraltar Food Pantry, Grace Centers of Hope, Hospitality House, and Redford Interfaith. And then that year, the processing cost a little over $7,000, again paid for by Michigan Sportsmen Against Hunger, and we spent around $20,000 that year for the deer call as well. 2023, again, this is where we start seeing the payoffs. We estimated there was around 200 deer. We only needed to take 65, so it left us around 135 and 9 car deer crashes. So now those car deer crashes are really starting to come down. They're starting to stay down too. Again, 2,200 pounds donated, a little almost $4,000 in processing that we didn't have to pay for. And we spent about almost $7,500 on the deer call that year. 2024, we estimated about 75. We took 52, estimated around 120-ish deer. And then again, car deer accidents down to 6. A little over 1,000 pounds donated, and our cost that year was a little over $10,000. 2025, we did not do the deer call, but you can see where our car deer crashes kind of went up. They spiked up a little bit there. So no deer call in 2025, and what everyone's been waiting for is 2026. So was able to get the drone up and do a little bit of an aerial, counted about 250 deer estimated. We were able to take out 100 deer this year, so which leaves us with about maybe 150-ish deer on the island, give or take a few. I don't have the numbers back from on how much meat was donated yet, but we have some scheduled distributions, and the estimation of the processing is close to $9,000, and we spent a little bit under $20,000 this year for the deer call. So to give you a comparison on what we're spending compared to other municipalities, in 2019, Muskegon did one for about 50 deer. They cost about $40,000 to $50,000. They did it again for 30 deer, about $20,000. Manistee, 23, $10,000. Ann Arbor, they used to have a big one. I don't think they do it anymore, but theirs costs about $150,000. They had a company come in and they did their deer call for them. East Lansing has been doing one. They average about 60 deer a year, and their average cost is about $20,000 a year. So for other deer call programs, sharpshooters, it's usually between around 200 and 400 a deer. We're at about 150 to 160. I'm pretty conscious about that number. I try to keep it as low as we possibly can, and with the team that we have, it works out very, very well. And I think we're pretty efficient at it. So just a comparison from other cities on how they do it and what we do. I think obviously we had 100 deer this year, and we're pretty low on our deer per number per deer. Traffic crashes. Thank Detective Sagittarius for putting this together for me. 2019, you can see we had 37 car deer accidents. We didn't do a deer call, and then you can see it trending down. If we can stay in that single-digit number, I think we'd be pretty good there. Obviously, none would be perfect. I don't know if we could ever get to that. But as of year-to-date today, we have only 2 car deer crashes this year. So, again, that's kind of where I kind of judge the numbers on how many we need to take each year. And I work with the DNR and their biologists. If that number starts going up, we can ask for more. If we thought we needed to get more this year, more than 100 tags, they have no problem just giving us some more if we need to, if I need to request for some more. So we've had a really good relationship with the DNR in doing this program for the last 6 years. Michigan Sportsmen's Against Hunger. Dean Hall and Ellen, they are absolutely amazing. They take out a whole process out of our hands that we don't have to deal with. Dean will come down and pick up the deer. He'll bring them to the processor. The processor will take care of all the processing. Once it gets all done, he'll go back and pick it up from the processor, and then he'll drive it down here and distribute it to all these food banks, which we don't have to do. And if we had to drive it to the processor and do all that, it would be it would just, you can see how much it costs the processing to do all that. It would add a lot more cost to us. So if people wanted to donate, they can go to www.sportsmensagainsthunger.org, and they can find a mechanism there to donate if they want to. But it's a great organization. Dean is a huge part of our team. I'm glad that we've gotten to partner with them. We've got a great friendship. We've got a good relationship with them now. So I'm very happy to be working with them. So in conclusion, over the past 6 years, we've taken 818 deer while utilizing 4 to 5 officers. Our car deer crashes have been dramatically reduced. We've donated over 17,000 pounds of venison to local food banks and helped countless families. In the past 6 years, I think we've seen the herd get healthier. We used to see a lot of injuries on deers that were hit by cars. Their legs were, maybe had some injuries on them that healed, and we would find that later. So we don't see that as much anymore, which is good. Hopefully the program will continue next year, where we can just harvest between 50 and 100 and maintain a deer herd of around 80 to 150. I know that's probably kind of low on 80 side, but we're at the maintain phase of the program, so we don't have to go out there and do a 200 like we did that year. So you can see our proven methods, the things that we've been doing, have reduced the herd and kept our costs to a minimum. And I do want to thank some people. A big one I need to thank is Lieutenant Vasquez. When we first started doing this, we were in the Detective Bureau, and he was the one helping me do this. And while we were in there, we had the flexibility to, not only do our cases, but had the time to, to dedicate to the deer call program at the time, so we could get those 275 and those 172 those years. Eric brought such a great skill set to the team, being a sniper instructor. You can't beat that. But him being a lieutenant now has taken him away from the deer call, which we miss him. It's hard to replace that kind of a skill set. So we did bring somebody new on. We brought Tyler Blackman on, Officer Tyler Blackman. He did a great job. He was kind of our grunt of it this year.
Initiation.
But I tell you what, he did an awesome job. He realized real quick that it's not just sitting in a tree stand, and it's not like hunting. It's not like deer camp. He found out real quick that it was a lot of work. Sergeant Canterbury also has been starting to help us from the beginning of this. He's been a huge help to this program as well. Hopefully when I'm long gone, he can take over the program and make it better when I'm out of here someday down the road. I want to thank John as well. He's been a great help. And also our MSP trooper, he's been helping us from the beginning of this as well, and actually helped with the old group. So we were able to take his knowledge and kind of use that to help make the program even better. He's probably one of the best shots I think I've ever seen. He is also, to give you an idea, out of the 100 deer that we took this year, he took 47 of them. So he is a huge part of this. When we went to 12 hours, it got a little bit more difficult with scheduling wise. And now that Officer Blackman and Sergeant Canterbury are on midnights, we just had to adapt and adjust to a lot of things. And, we made it work. I just want to really thank those guys. Thank you, Eric. It's a lot of work. I don't think people realize how much manual labor goes into this. We were lucky with having snow this year, which helped a little bit, but once it melted, it got a lot harder. So there's so many people to thank with this, and again, it's a program that I'm pretty proud of. Thank you, Chief, too, for his support. He's always given us the support, and thank you, Police Commission, as well, for always supporting us in doing this program. So if there's things that we can improve in the future, I'm always looking to do those things. Whether, like I said, our technology, we've used the drone now, we have thermal technology, so any way that we can make it better for us, we're always kind of looking at. I'm trying to take that input from the other guys as well, so that we can get good input all across the board. So with that said, thank you very much.
We appreciate everything you guys do, because if you can go back to what the cost that these other townships pay for everybody,
Yeah.
people don't realize the benefit we have with our department of when you're looking at like Muskegon and not so much Manistee, but Ann Arbor. I think Ann Arbor's a premium because they're in a lot of really
Yep.
residential
Yeah.
areas. But just in general, the average cost that you guys save us is astronomical, and we can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, and like I said, we're conscious of that, and we try to improve on that if we can. Sometimes just things are unforeseen, but we just try to manage as best as we can. And I like to think that, we've taken this program and really kind of, we came up with a plan, we put the plan together, we started the plan, and then we executed on that, and we were successful at it. So, again, and it's only as good as the people that we're helping. Like I said, with Eric, the rest of the team, they're the ones that make this thing work. So, thank them.
Yeah, and to, field dress 200, like that. I remember that first year. You guys were out there.
Yeah, that's a lot of field dressing.
It was, that year, I couldn't believe the numbers that you guys kept coming back with. It seemed like every other week with big numbers back then.
And that kind of really gave you an idea on how many deer really were here. I mean, there's way too many here. So, and to get to the field dressing part of it, all the innards that come out, we actually take those, and we have a company that comes and picks those up.
I think they make Margaret's makeup and perfume out of it, I think, something like that. But hairspray, I don't know what
You
they
know
make
the
out of it.
environmentally
But
friendly tag
I'll find
on
out,
it?
I'll find out exactly how they make it, and I'll let you
Nothing is
know.
organic.
So anyway, thank you guys for your support with the program, and, there you go. You know,
Love
Thank
you,
you.
Pete. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, you left plenty, because there were 6 in my front yard yesterday at my meeting last night, so.
well, they'll be here next year, so
Yeah.
we'll look for them then.
I just wanted to say something really quick before you step down. Pete, we really appreciate, you thanked everybody, but, you know, we need to thank you. You run this program. It runs flawlessly. There's no waste. Everything's accounted for. You do it pretty much invisible, and it's safe. It's safe beyond safe. So I can't say, the department can't say, I know the commission, none of us can say that, thank you for doing what you do with the time limit that you have, the money that is spent, and how it's done. It's beyond professional, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the
Yes.
kind words, I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Police Commission. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on, action item. So, we'll go with the first one that was originally there.
Would you like me to make that motion? So you're not making it?
No, I'd like to find somebody else.
Well, you're it. Val.
I'm stuck. Stuck by default, right?
Would you like me to do that for you?
Sure.
So I would like to make a motion to appoint Scott Longton as Police Commission Chairperson for 26-27.
Do I hear a second? Discussion?
None.
Darn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I will willfully accept. Thank you. Now, the added agenda item, which is to approval from the township board to move forward with a police millage. Specifically, we are requesting approval to
1.92 mil.
sorry,
No, you're
trying
fine.
to find it.
I know
it
it by
is-
heart now.
Thank you. No, it is for a millage of 1.92 in replacement of the police millage number 3. This is intended to address the Headley reduction across the millage that support the police department and to maintain the current service levels or service model. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion?
So I just want to outline, we went through this yesterday, and I would really recommend everybody, it's worth listening to Eric's walk through the deck that we presented. But the millage request is basically, as Scott mentioned, it's a replacement of police millage number 3, which is a voted amount of 1 mil, but is now reduced to 0.97 based on Headley. And with those Headley reductions, the overall millages that we have, that we leverage, are at 6.6 mils voted. But unfortunately, when Headley reduces them, we were at 5.73. So we explored many options, which Eric went through, and this was our prime, if you will. And we do feel that this is the right thing for the department to maintain our current support model. It doesn't, we're not providing anything in addition. This is just to maintain, the support model that we have at this time.
Any other discussion? Comments? Mark, anything? No?
Well, I think that this is the bare minimum, as we know, to maintain the department. I look at how fiscally responsible they are. I mean, just look at how the Deer Call program here is fiscally responsible. So this is not being luxurious. This is what we need to maintain our level of service. And there's no way around that.
Very good. I was going to say a couple of things because, you know, a lot of people have brought up the issue of millage. And just a couple of things for people to consider is that we're trying to set some stable funding for the department and what happens without that stable funding. We're looking at considering what it would cost per home based upon its taxable value. We take these into consideration when we're trying to seek a millage. There's also we're just trying to make sure that our department has the resources that it needs for our community. It's not that our department wants things. They don't want things. They don't want to have to get stuff, but they need it for us. This doesn't benefit our officers individually. It benefits our township and our community. The other thing is that again, it's about maintaining the current levels that we have. At a bare minimum, we are not looking to increase because that would be even more money that we're not asking the township or the community to provide. We're just trying to maintain levels that we have within the department for the benefit of the community. There's a number of other things. Margaret, I know you're going to probably do, or we're going to do a town hall eventually.
Once we're approving this at the commission level, the recommendation will go to the board. And once it's approved for addition to the ballot, we're obviously going to have a conversation with the township attorney. I have asked that we review the possibility, and I know that we can. I just need to understand the steps of how we stop the DDA district and the Brownfield district from capturing police millage funds. I feel really strongly about this. I'm sure there are some people that might disagree, but I do feel that capturing public safety millage funds is not the right choice. I do believe that we need to maintain those funds for the police department. And so we're going to have a conversation with the township attorney about that, and as well as the language that goes into the ballot. But yes, I'm going to try to do 2 to 3, depending on, you know, how many people attend, you know, how strong of an audience we can get. I think we're going to try to do at least perhaps a podcast. I might have somebody assist with that. Because I do think that will, maybe you could help too. I do think that will, you know, allow people who maybe perhaps aren't able to physically attend, then they have that to fall back on as well. And I think we can run through the questions and, you know, I think that makes things easier for some residents as well. But I do know, I'm hoping that people will attend and ask the questions that they need to, because for me, this is about education. I'm never going to I didn't tell anybody what to do about the bridge. I wouldn't tell anybody what to do with this millage. It's about educating people and answering the questions, because I'm a resident too. I know there's commentary like everybody on the board is wanting to tax us. That's not even remotely true. I can assure you. Nobody wants to pay more taxes, but what I don't want is to lose the support model that we have. When we have officers get to every medical call, or at least 99.9% of them first, to support whomever is in need, that is critical. I'm afraid for the fact that might not be something we can do in the future. And I was very surprised, you know, that there was even a board member that didn't realize, or, you know, didn't understand why we do that. And we do that because we have a volunteer fire department, and as great as they are, I mean, I'm sure Lieutenant Vasquez can attest to this, that the windstorm that we had, right? So we had 2 officers on duty for that windstorm. We had dispatch, and over 100 calls came into dispatch for that windstorm. And 2 officers were managing all the down lines, the trees falling, there was, you know, a fire on a garage, you know, there's so many things, and I don't think people fully realize it until it actually affects them. And that's why I want to have this education moment where people can ask questions and we can address these things live, because I do think it concerns me, you know, when we have this gap in knowledge.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Moving on. Do we have any other discussion items? No? Okay, just making sure. Department reports.
My favorite.
Okay, I'll kind of fly through this since we had a lot of stuff on the agenda here. But for the month of February, we had 646 incoming telephone calls received. 547 of them were non-emergency calls to dispatch, 99 911 calls. 511 of those calls ended up being a call for service that was generated, but it needed some sort of need of police services based on the call. For patrol activities, we kind of broke it down a little differently this month. We had 6,848 miles driven on patrol last month. So our officers are out on the road. So there's only 2 of them, so you don't see them as often as we'd like, but they are out there. They had 105 traffic stops. They issued 18 citations. 17 of them were traffic-related civil infractions and 1 traffic misdemeanor that wasn't an OUID or OWI. 20 notices to appear, which are the fix-it tickets for the people that are watching at home who are not familiar with them. 77 verbal warnings were given. We issued 21 security notices, which are just open garages and things like that, just letting residents know that we're watching and try to make things a little more secure to prevent crime. 8 welfare checks, and for those who are not familiar with what a welfare check is, that's when someone calls and says they can't get a hold of a family member, an elderly family member is not answering the phone, they not answering the door. We come over there, we check on them, make sure that they are okay. Sometimes they're not, so we're there to intervene if need be, or at least make contact with them, put their mind at ease. We had 1 juvenile that was reported missing from another community that our officers discovered and returned to his family. 6 arrests last month, 2 for a probation violation or stalking, 1 traffic warrant related arrest, 1 aggravated domestic assault with a firearm, 1 assault with intent to commit great bodily harm and discharge of a firearm causing damage, 1 operating under the influence of drugs. As far as reports go, we had 51 police reports generated in total. 43 of them were incident reports, 8 were accident reports with 1 car deer, unfortunately. But for our record section, she fulfilled 5 FOIA requests and was working on training for the department on criminal justice information security. So it's still ongoing. Animal control did 37 animal control calls. 3 animal-related citations were issued. There 1 individual was issued citations for dog at large, dangerous dog, and not having a dog licensed. The Detective Bureau, we reviewed 43 incidents. 13 cases were assigned to a detective for additional investigation or some sort of action. The action may be a true investigation. Sometimes it's submitting a warrant to the prosecutor's office, sometimes answering prosecutors' questions, or waiting for the return of the warrant, submitting evidence to a lab, depending on the nature of the incident. So I'm not planning on going through all the individual incidents, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So I think it's worth, again, I haven't heard it recently, thanks to the updated detail of the blotter. But I think it's worth pointing out that a lot goes on Grosse Ile, right, based on what you've provided. So I think it really is important for residents to, and we post this every month, you know, to the police section of the township website. I think it's worth a read. And I know I think you're also putting it, Chief, on the Facebook page as well?
We are.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Because that seems to be popular. So, so thank you for doing this. This is, I like the detail.
We just wanted people to understand that, you know, it's something like I think I mentioned last time. It's not something we want to hype to people that things go on here. But like any community, when you have, 10,500 people or so, there's going to be incidents that occur. And, you know, if it's something that presents a danger, we've always shared that, but otherwise we've not something we wanted to publicize. But I feel it's important that people understand that things are going on. Our detectives do have a job to do. Every investigation, they have to drive out. We had a ID theft involving credit cards and persons charging around town. So the detective has to drive to Dearborn or Detroit or wherever else and follow up at the stores where they're going to, pull surveillance videos, come back and watch those videos. All these things take time. It's not just looking at a piece of paper and shoveling it on your desk. You actually have to go interview people, bring people in, interview them. So there's just a lot more that goes into it that I think people didn't realize, and we're hoping they'll kind of get a better idea by giving a little more detail, without getting too detailed.
Well, and I think it's worth pointing out, so as an example, female caller stated that her husband had pointed a handgun at her. Officers responded. How many officers responded? Two? Two. So there are people that will disagree with me. I'm baffled by this because I can pull out of the news more than I care to count amounts of officers injured or killed in the line of duty at domestic violence calls. And that's what this is. That's what this was. And there were only 2 officers for this. And it, again, I keep saying this, we're very lucky. And luck should not be a strategy that nothing has happened. And it really bothers me that sometimes I feel like I'm not alone on the board. I know there's at least 1 or 2 others, but it really bothers me that this isn't a primary concern for people, that we are not prioritizing certain things like this. And this is just one incident, right? There was the flower delivery incident again.
It's one of those things where overwhelmingly, as far as the actual people on patrol, we get by with 2, fine, overwhelmingly. But there are instances where we can't, and that's the ones we have to plan for. And like you mentioned, the flower delivery incident, this is an individual with a long gun blowing off rounds in the middle of the road, and we have 2 officers showing up. You know, that's a bit of an issue. And even then, if we have 2 officers on a shift and someone has to take vacation time, well, now we've got another officer working their off days who's not quite as sharp as they would have been had they not worked 2 of their off days because the other officers on vacation. You know, they do have lives, they do have families, they have things they want to enjoy in life. So all these things kind of factor into the need for having full shifts. And again, 3 is better for safety's sake because you never know what's going to hit. And that's what we have to plan for as a worst case scenario.
So, maybe Chief, I was gonna point out a number of issues, especially domestic violence, creates its own dangers in and of itself. For those of people that don't know, the Department of Justice has been studying that since 1970. I pulled up a report that I have that I use on my cases with my practice. But the inherent dangers in responding to those continue to escalate even more in this day and age. And then when we look at a report where we've got, it was report number 26047, and then we've got the same suspect again later in 260853 because it's a stalking issue. Well, I know that there's a violation. He was this person, not I want to say he, but he or she. Let's assume it's a he because the victim.
It was a he in this case.
Yeah, it is a male. There we go. Thank you. There's a no contact order by nature of the case. There's probably a personal protection order. This individual has the wherewithal to go against those court orders. That person is not in the sound mind to make rational decisions, and that's when these things escalate very badly, for lack of better words, and there's an immediate danger to our officers. We've got an individual hiding in a wooded area, lots of woods around this in our island here. The dangers in and of themselves when these officers respond, sometimes we only have 1 officer responding until the 2nd officer gets there, right? So people need to understand that it's not Detroit where you've just got drive-by shootings. We don't have those. We understand that. We have domestic violence. We have people with guns. We have people that come here. We've had home invasions. We have vehicles stolen from people's driveways and front yards. It happens. Do we want to be the township where you walk out to find somebody breaking into your car or stealing your vehicle and something escalates and you're waiting for the one officer to get from the north end of the island and you're on the south end of the island, and then they show up to find you dead in your driveway? Or do we want the continued calls that, or the service level that we have at a minimum? It's just a minimum of what we have with the population on the island.
Well, not only that, we have incidents like some of them mentioned in the blotter here, where we have a serious incident and we have 2 officers on, they both respond, and say, for instance, we have just something simple as a medical run come out. It's not a danger run to anyone but the victim of the medical issue. But we either have an officer who has to make the choice of breaking away from backing up their partner, or to go help the person who just called 911 who needs help.
I mean, how many heart attacks have we had where our officers have saved them because they're the first on site?
It's been quite a few.
Right.
And again, like you mentioned, I don't want to take anything away from the fire department. They do a great job. They get there as quickly as possible. But I mean, the fact remains is we're generally there first, and we're generally doing CPR first. They'll come in with a little bit better equipment, take over a little better knowledge. I won't deny that. But we're there providing the care immediately. But again, we have to make a decision. Is the danger presented by this incident greater than the risk to the person that we have to ignore until we can get there?
I mean, the question is, what's our loved one's life's worth, right?
In a nutshell, that's what it boils
That's
down
what
to.
it boils
I
down
hate to say it, but
You know, and people have said, oh, they just want to raise our taxes. It's our taxes too. I just realized my mic is off this whole time. It's our taxes too. You know, we are all residents here. We are all property owners. It's not, you guys don't want to raise the taxes, you know. We as a township and as a commission feel that it's necessary for the benefit of our citizens, us being citizens. It's directly affecting us also. So it's not that we just arbitrarily want to raise taxes. No, we're going to raise our own taxes in this request as well.
I'm right there with you, and I'll be paying higher taxes as well.
Right.
Well, it
And
benefits,
it is what
it benefits, we don't benefit monetarily. You know how we benefit? You just said it. Peace of mind. That our family, our neighbors, you know, we know that when we call, we will have somebody there for us. And I think that's really critical to point out. I think that was very, very valid.
I don't think anyone would argue that the world is getting more stable. It is, it's getting dicier and dicier every day, everywhere. So
Right.
Again, it's a peace of mind. And that's what we try to give everybody in every run we do, every interaction we have, we try to give people peace of mind. And we'd like to continue that. And that's what it boils down to.
Yes. Thank you. All right, moving on. Chief, do you have anything else? I was gonna say we kind of bounced around. So, liaison report.
Well, I'm gonna kind of repeat a little bit of what you've already heard. So I do wanna thank Eric Ranka, and I know he's off in Europe for his job right now, but I do wanna thank him for the work he put in on the deck we presented. Same thing with Chief Brozick, and I really appreciated all the support, and like I mentioned, I'm going to be setting up, once this is approved by the board, I am going to set up town hall discussions, and hopefully we can also, like I said, do a podcast. I think that'll be a good thing for anybody that isn't able to actually physically attend a meeting. I also want to highlight, I kind of briefly touched on it, the windstorm that we had. Just really quick that, and I know it went from the day shift into night, but just want to thank Dispatcher Catania, Officer Benson, and Lieutenant Vasquez, because they put in a lot of legwork that day. There was a lot of a significant amount of calls, a lot to coordinate with DTE and Grosse Fire, who also did a phenomenal job. Same with DTE. I think all three teams, very impressive work. You know, I have skylights and I was watching the trees, and it was really rather frightening in the sense of you knew that those light poles were coming down, they were tipping, you knew that lines were snapping. And I just think you guys did a great job, and I think people forget that in inclement weather, a lot goes on and there's a lot to be coordinated, and I think you guys all did a great job. So the third round is the deer cull, and I do thank Pete, Sergeant Darzniak. He does a phenomenal job, and you know, he was nice enough to walk me through his process from end to end, if you will. But it was, you know, why he and I were talking about it, because there seems to be confusion. Social media has a lot of bonuses, but you know, every once in a while you'll see somebody put something up there just to kind of create a wow factor or misinformation. You can call it whatever you want. And I had seen not long ago something about the deer call, and there was commentary like, oh, we should have a lottery, you know, a crossbow type lottery, where apparently anybody can randomly win a ticket to, you know, join the deer call. And like that would be a big cost saving. And when I walked through it with Sergeant Darzniak, I think there is a very, very big gap in knowledge, and he touched on it from the first words of safety is critical. I mean, we're a populated area. You would never have anybody randomly getting a lottery to crossbow randomly through Groseal. And perhaps I'm being a slight bit facetious, but nonetheless, it's very difficult to coordinate, you know, people doing things like that. And the work that these guys do is tremendous. Because again, in my mind, it didn't entail, that wasn't to be funny, but it's, you know, the whole process from beginning to end is a ton of work. Like, I felt bad for Tyler, Officer Blackman, because it's a lot. And it's dirty work, literally. And unfortunately, and don't get me wrong, I love the deer. I'm not a venison person, but what I appreciate and what he really highlighted well, every bit of that, of the deer is being used. And it's you know, it's helping people. And, you know, we should feel really good about that. But I do appreciate everything all of you do. And that's a lot of work, and it's handled safely and humanely, and they did a great job. So that would be my report.
Very good. All right. Motion to approve the monthly reports.
Motion? Oh,
Reserve report. Gotta talk about the marathon,
Why did I skip over that?
I don't know.
because the
Did I miss
excitement
it?
of the promotion.
And that was exciting.
Yes,
No,
it was.
it's okay, you're right.
I feel better about myself.
You're okay. It's not there. You can't talk today. No, I'm joking.
Well, I got to bring up a good point as far as the ROC CF, so that'll be the last thing I touch on. But real quickly, so the reserve hours this month were 33.5. February events were February 27th. We had reserve officers that conducted 1095 checks, which is school checks, parks, homes and businesses, homes as far as vacations. On the 28th, there was an event that occurred at Groseal Parkway and East River Road. It was the Lucas Foundation Cold Plunge for Mental Health Awareness. That was, I think this was the third year that they've accomplished this event, and it's grown every year. And it was a little busy this year. So we had three reserves come in to help out. We covered that traffic control in that corner, and it was well received as far as by the community. We had some news outlets that were out there talking to the deputy chief from Brownstown who heads this up, and it worked out great. March events, which we covered already, was Christopher Smith's promotion to lieutenant. This is a process. It wasn't anything that was brought up. We were compliant with our bylaws. There was an interview process for this, and with the selection and the approval from the chief, we were able to accomplish that. So I'm really excited for Lieutenant Christopher Smith. On the 22nd, that's this Sunday, we have the ROC CF Marathon. It's a half marathon. It's going to encompass the river roads, Horse Mill, Grow Road. They've included a 15K, so we have the half marathon and the 15K that are gonna start at Grosse Ile Middle School. They're gonna start running north on East River to Horse. I think they jump into Island, Gage, and then shoot back out on Stout. But they're gonna run up to Horse Mill, around to West River Road, and then when they're coming down Grove, 15K is gonna stop at the Hangar 1 for the completion of their race. The half marathon is gonna continue all the way through to Grosse Ile Middle School again. And then there's a 5K that starts here at Hangar 1, starts off on Grow Road to East River, and then they'll complete their race at the Grosse Ile Middle School. So we have our staff that day will primarily be reserves that do this every year. I'm gonna come in as well and work with them. Then we have only 2 road officers that are gonna help. It's gonna be Sergeant Darsnick and I believe Officer King. That's gonna complement our staff that day, but there's no worries. Roads are covered, major intersections are covered. The director, Emily Schaller, has everything covered as far as their volunteers, their med points. There's 4 positions on East River, West River, Horse Mill, and Grow. And then I just want to point out that there's also a high school wrestling tournament the same day for all ROC CF participants and spectators. Transportation is going to be provided here across the street at the Grosse Ile Municipal Airport. You're going to be taken to Grosse Ile Middle School, and then when you complete the race, you're also going to be brought back. There's no parking in the high school parking lot or in that area because of their event.
Very good.
What's the timeline on that?
So 8 o'clock, glad you asked. So 8 o'clock is the start of the half marathon and the 15K. And then at 8:15, the 5K starts here at the Grosse Ile Municipal Airport. So we've never really had any problem. We have choke points, that occur, and that's primarily because of the large amount of runners that are starting off. But once they thin out, my suggestion and what's outlined in our ops plan is that if anybody's trying to get through or off the island, try to get yourself to Meridian Road. That way you can head north and south instead of getting, caught up in the race on the river roads. That's it. Any questions?
Good. Oh,
Good.
I will add, you when you talked about the downlines that occurred the other day, so we almost had called in some additional staff, and I was able to get 3 reserves that came in.
And I should have mentioned
yeah.
those too. I knew you guys had, but that was even later in the day, right?
So
Yeah.
at the change of shift, we had 3 reserves, and they held out for DT, and DT did a magnificent job as far as, closing off holding off that road that was closed for the remaining of the night, and then they relieved our reserves. But we called them, they came in, they helped
Yep.
out, and we're happy. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did I miss anything, Wendy? Thank you. Motion to approve monthly minutes, monthly reports, sorry.
Motion to approve?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Not seeing a public for a comment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.